For nearly half a century, the world was locked in a silent battle between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. No direct war was fought, but the two superpowers were in competition for total world domination. Unlike World War II, the Cold War wasn't fought with direct large-scale battles, but instead through proxy wars, nuclear arms races, spies, and global influence. Today we're diving into one of the most tense and dramatic periods of modern history, the Cold War. A conflict that never got to the battlefield, but still shaped the world we live in today. When World War II ended in 1945, two superpowers arose, the United States and the Soviet Union. Both had fought against Nazi Germany, but their visions for the world couldn't be more different. The US pushed for democracy and capitalism. The Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin, pushed for communism and control over Eastern Europe. This ideological divide set the stage for decades of political tension, espionage, and proxy wars. One of the first turning points came in 1947 with the Truman Doctrine, when the US promised to support countries resisting communism. Around the same time, the Marshall Plan pumped billions into rebuilding Western Europe, something the Soviets saw as economic warfare. By 1949, two huge developments raised the stakes. On the blue side, NATO was formed, and on the red side, the Soviets successfully tested their first atomic bomb, ending America's nuclear monopoly. Instead of fighting directly, the Cold War played out through proxy wars and standoffs. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953, North Korea, backed by China and the USSR, fought South Korea, supported by the US and the UN. The result? A stalemate and a divided Korea. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. This is perhaps the most tense moment of the Cold War. The Soviets placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from the US shores. After 13 days of brinkmanship, both sides pulled back. Kennedy agreed not to invade Cuba, and Khrushchev removed the missiles. This was the closest the world ever came to nuclear war. From the American perspective, the Cold War was about protecting freedom and containing communism. The policy of containment shaped everything. From military alliances to foreign aid, from the Soviets' perspective, it was about defending socialism, protecting themselves from what they saw as US aggression, and expanding their influence in the developing world. Both sides saw themselves as defenders of the future. In the 1970s, things briefly cooled down during a period called Détente, with arms control agreements like the Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, that is SALT I in 1972. But the tension flared back up after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979, which the US saw as expansionism. By the 1980s, President Reagan ramped up military spending, calling the Soviet Union the evil empire. The arms race, especially in nuclear weapons, hit its peak. 2 years later, Mikhail Gorbachev assumed the position as the Soviet leader. And per history, Reagan was cautious about the new Soviet leader at first. Then their first face-to-face meeting happened at the Geneva Summit, which was held in November 1985 in Geneva, Switzerland. The agenda for the summit was for the two leaders to discuss the arms race and issues regarding nuclear weapons. However, unlike his predecessors, Gorbachev was open to the idea of common security. Although Gorbachev and Reagan had differences in the way they wanted to implement policies, both had the goal of preventing a nuclear war. By the late 1980s, cracks were forming. Mikhail Gorbachev introduced reforms, Glasnost and Perestroika, meaning openness and restructuring. But the Eastern European nations have started breaking away, and in 1989 the Berlin Wall fell, a powerful symbol of freedom overcoming division. Finally, on the 25th of December in 1991, Mikhail Gorbachev resigned as president of the Soviet Union, officially declaring the end of the Soviet Union. The Cold War was over. So what was the Cold War? Well, it was a battle of ideologies, fought through politics, propaganda, and proxy wars, with the constant fear of nuclear war looming over humanity. From the American side, it was about protecting democracy. From the Soviet side, it was about protecting socialism. But in the end, it reshaped the modern world. Our alliances, our technology, and even our fears. Which Cold War moment do you think was the most dangerous turning point? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more History Made Simple.